All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. What an amazing day today, right? There's so much I want to go over. I'm going to talk about all the technicals. I'm going to talk about the NASDAQ. I unfortunately need to start here real quick, all right? So you can pause it if you want to read the whole thing. So even on Christmas Day, these spam bots were sending people messages trying to like rip them off and stuff, all right? Listen, I am never gonna send you a message telling you, give me a few grand and I'll give you private lessons, all right? Every single thing I do is free, all right? The Discord, the YouTube, every single thing, everything in between, right? So please be careful. I don't want you to crush it in the market with these tickers and then have some spam bot take it all. You know what I mean? And look, they're really good, right? They start very casually and then blah, blah, blah. Please be careful. You can reach out to me if something looks shady and this and that. But hey, 2024 is a shady internet. 2025 is only going to get shadier. Please be careful, all right? So that disclaimer aside, oh my goodness, what a day today. I tried to group these a little bit logically, all right? So the first three we're going to call the big runners, all right? QSI, I talked about that 200 moving average line on the last video. 4 dojis in a row, you know you're going to get a big truth, right? My goodness. QMCO, I'll be honest, I was not looking at this one, but just bouncing on the 8 like a champion, literally going up to the last line I got there. I got to zoom out. Is there another one drawn? You know I'm going to draw some new fresh lines right here, right? But my goodness, 50% after that 60% we just saw. ARQQ, we just talked about this one. While the other ones were setting up, this one looked a little fresh. Big 50% candle helps it catch up, right? My goodness, loveliness right here, right? And again, riding the 8 like a champ, using the 20 where it needs to be. Still a really healthy 70 RSI. So those are the first 3, okay? With absolutely no disrespect behind them, we've got Regati with another over 30%. That right there is what happens when you break the golden line, all right? I love it when you're over, you break all, you know I want to talk about all this for sure. You're just the opening thoughts, right? But 36, my goodness. QBTS, another 20 plus, almost 25. Look at the strength of that candle right there, right? Another just 71 RSI, right? Just such niceness right here. QUBT is going to be the last one in this tranche. Again, look, I know this looks like a small, that's an amazingly big double digit number and a real nice candle holding the 8. You know what I mean? So with no disrespect at all, is this one the last one? Because again, can you imagine making 13, 12% a day, 7% a day? Like those are big numbers. And I realized the 5 before them were literally 2x, 3x, 4x this, but hey, this is still a good number. And you know, don't get greedy if you're in this one and the other one, right? Like it's all good, right? The last one we're going to talk about, and I might chapter it on its own, is Wimmy. There's been a lot of people reaching out to me about Wimmy, all right? And number one, I'm really curious where this came from. My guess is maybe a bigger YouTuber, maybe a bigger Twitter person. I have no idea, right? But let me know just where it came from. But I think as this volume came, as this attempt to break all the moving averages came, all those questions started flooding to me. And hey, if you saw my early replies, one big thing I said was break 94 cents and this will go, right? I think it was probably right there. Yeah, that was maybe 90, 97. It was probably around this time right here. I don't know. But yeah, once it broke 94, hey, look at where we're sitting now, right? And again, if this actually is a quantum ticker, there's some interesting things. You know, I'll talk about the volume. This one's setting up. This one's definitely setting up. But I think I'm more curious as to where it came from, all right? The last thing as this opening thought is the NASDAQ composite, okay? So it's real interesting. So let's do it like this. 20, 40, boom. Okay. The day before Christmas, one thing I kept saying was we must confirm with NASDAQ, right? Because what we did was we couldn't get over the 20. We got over the 20. We got over the 8. I need confirmation. My goal was 20,040. All right. literally with 1 minute left, it looked like that's where we were going to end. Like we were basically here, right? All of a sudden, it just dropped a lot harder than I expected. And that was just a little bit rougher than I was expecting. But hey, right now, all I'm really seeing is a doji. I think doji doesn't count, all right? So we still want a little bit of confirmation. Clearly, the sector is still going up, even though NASDAQ, you can kind of say technically isn't, right? But I've been saying it a bunch. As long as you're over the golden line, it's all good. As long as you're over the 8 and the 20, it's all good, right? So NASDAQ is still actually relatively doing nice. But one more time, I do want that 2040 confirmation, right? If NASDAQ does better, can you imagine what better will look like when we're looking at tickers that are ranging anywhere from 60-ish to 12-ish, right? Like, my goodness, you know what I mean? So a little bit longer of an intro. I did have that 1 minute disclaimer last time, just in case you fast forwarded. Please be safe on the ugly internet. Everything I do is free. I'm not trying to take your money. I'm not going to promise you any, free. Sorry, I'm not going to promise you any like better training or this and that. Don't make money in the market and then have some bot, some scammer just take it, all right? That's never the goal, all right? So before we do go any further though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we gonna do? Same thing we always do, right? We're gonna take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There aren't any here. I'm definitely going to need to draw them. There's one up there, but there are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, I'm so grateful for it. And for real, dude, my views, dudettes, for the girls watching, my views have been insane, especially on these quant videos. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for all the likes and the shares, and it does wonders, all right? So thank you again right there. Look, this first batch, I'm basically calling the big boys, right? The big girls out there. All of these had monster days, and in a lot of ways, it was technically reasonable and it made sense, all right? So we were watching QSI on the last few videos, and I definitely was saying, I think it's gonna come down, I think it's gonna come down, but the 200 is a hard line to break up, and it should be a hard line to lose down. And bunch of dojis, bunch of dojis, bunch of dojis pop, bunch of dojis, bunch of dojis, bunch of dojis pop, right? So we actually see basically the same thing, and obviously that's a little bit more hardcore with the number of dojis, right? And look, I've been flashing these as I show other stocks, but cooler, you can see bunch of dojis in a row, you get a big bad loud truth, a big good loud truth right here on this one, right? Soundhound was the other one, right? And it was around the 4s back here, my goodness, right? Bunch of dojis, boom. Bunch of dojis, bunch of dojis, bunch of dojis, boom, right? So this is a common thing for sure, especially when you're getting those dojis on important lines. And I always say these 5 computer generators are better than any simple human click I'm ever gonna do, right? So this is what bouncing off the 200 looks like, right? Trying to get over, trying to get over, trying to get over, trying to get over, trying to get over. Using as a support, not actually going under this time, right? Pretty much every time we go back under, we stay under, right? Like this time we stay above, we hold, we go. Even if you just waited for 150 something, get over the 8 and the 20, you actually would have caught most of the day too, right? So even if you didn't see it on the 200 bounce, you break all 5 and man, this thing flew, all right? The other thing that I just loved, this RSI was crazy low. This thing was in the 56 range when we know the other ones, right? I'll get to this shortly. Regatti was pushing in the 90s and still living basically in the 70s, right? I don't know what the other ones are, and you get the point, right? But this was a very low 50 that, again, made me believe there's more. I'm looking at a 66 RSI, and I'm telling you, I know I see this number. I think that there's more. I do here, all right? One thing that I was saying on the Discord was 210. Okay, QSI needs to hold 210. If it could hold 210, I think there's more coming. And hey, lo and behold, we actually held it. 210 basically, look, you can actually see it's maybe even 206. I wanted to hold at least 50% of this candle, which obviously is going to be bigger than the biggest candle to the left, which is actually this one, right? So I very much needed to be over 2. I really wanted to be over that 208, 206. That's why I said 210 on the Discord. Lo and behold, we held it. Look, we're coming down a little bit in after hours. When you go up 60% in a regular day, you either crash down to here or you know, like this hold isn't that much, right? But look, that's kind of what I'm looking for at this point. I would be maybe, I think this is probably the line. I'd probably be a little worried if we started to lose 190. Truth be told, this thing can actually come all the way down to 172 and actually still be bullish, right? As long as it can hold 50% of this and clearly overall 5, that's going to be good. If this gets over 230, oh man, you saw it when I zoomed out. My next line's up here, right? And again, when you're looking, yeah, 230, well, I'm clicking right here, right? And that's 230, that's literally 230, 231. You get over that 230 number, you're over that, you're over that, you're over that, and all of a sudden I'm thinking 3 something right there, right? What's half of you right there? 240? Yeah, no, I'm liking 230. I think 230 could be an interesting look. If you miss QSI, watch how it reacts to 230. Hey, if it's going to come down, watch how it reacts to that like $170 range that I just gave, right? But I'll tell you, I'm seeing a healthy RSI. I'm seeing a MACD that stayed positive and wants to go back, right? Like I got the green over red here. Wasn't that long. We had green over red there. Maybe tomorrow, give me a little bit more and I'll do the same, right? All about volume. I don't want to drop down to 40 million. I think that would maybe be a good day and maybe that'll like let us hold 2-ish. I really need it to be at least like I think 70 million. Even 70 million is actually a 10% reduction, right? So I don't need to take out the calculator for that one. I need at least 1 million shares per hour for QSI to do good. If it does more than an hour, if you're looking at more than 2 million shares in the first 2 hours, oh, that's no. I did the math wrong. I need 10 million. I need 10 million per hour, 20 million by that second hour. My goodness, that was almost embarrassing right there. All right. But yeah, I'm telling you, I know it looks like there a lot already happened. This still hasn't broken all and flown, right? It's trying to, and maybe it might. All right. So again, you got my lines up, you got my lines down. Let's come to the next one in this family, QMCO. Look at this thing. Truth be told, I very much looked away from this one, but you know I'm never here to brag about my lines, right? But I just love it when it does it so beautifully, right? The 8 moving average is just riding it up. You know I care more about riding the 8 than my little clicks, but hey, these ones weren't that bad right here, right? I think I'm going to start deleting a couple because this right here is basically the 20 moving average. This right here is under the 20. I don't think we need to look at this. I'll keep this one. That's about 50 of that one. All right, so we'll keep those 3 lines for now. Again, I think a lot of the same comments on QSI. I realize that's a really big 50% day. I get that, right? I think one thing that I'm seeing is a very nice, at least decent 74, right? 74 still has a little bit of room to go between here and 80, right? So I generally start ringing the alarm bell a little closer to 80, right? I definitely see that this thing peaks and drops. Even with QSI, I think I saw it. No, it actually didn't. It actually really didn't. So they both have a peak and drop little commonality when we're looking at the RSI, right? But yeah, this has actually been. I'm gonna skip these two once we like look away from them. That's been pretty consistent volume. It really hasn't had this kind of day in a while, and that's what we're missing. If we can get 10 million shares, that's going to do some amazing things here. So if I want 10 million shares in a 7-hour day, we're looking for about 1.5 million shares, hopefully 3 million-ish around that second hour right there. Looks like after hours is coming down just a little bit. Look, again, to me, that's just a little bit. It is. When you run almost 50% after hours, you either crash about 13, 14%, or you keep going. And hey, all I'm seeing is a beautiful bounce from the 8 moving average. And hey, we've been further away from the 8 before we needed to come back down to reality, right? So I'm liking QMCO. I think I got to draw another line up. Look at that. We're actually starting the gap fill ascent here. So the next logical line is going to be here, which is basically the top, right? Looks like I'm trying to get the bottom of that green. Oh, I like this. I think that's a good line. Look, if this breaks 70 bucks, I think there's another 20% to be made, a little bit more than 14, looking like it would go to maybe 87.50-ish, give or take, all right? I would say this thing can definitely come down to about 55.30 and still be bullish. That's a pretty rough drop from the 70 bucks-ish, 65-ish that we're roughly at. It's almost a 20% drop, just some rough math in my head. It's at least a double-digit drop, right? But yeah, this is actually still bullish, even as low as 55. See if it could break 70 is what we're going to go for here on this one. Where are you on the weekly? That's an interesting weekly. I don't think I looked at the QSI weekly. Well, this is also an interesting weekly, but I like this weekly more. I actually knew this, I'll be honest. That's, I think, why I skipped it. But the 200's all the way up here. We're trying to break a little bit better so far, right? And you get over the 100, you're going to make me think 200. QMCO is now battling the 200 on the weekly, right? What kind of seems like QSI is still here. Hopefully it'll copy and do that. QMCO is now at that next battle, right? This is the first weekly candle over the 200. It's definitely a nice big percent, but I don't know if I needed a bigger candle or not. I don't know if I needed to get over that or not, but hey, I think this isn't bad, at least for the first one, because the next one is the confirmation that matters, right? So QMCO right there. Last one is ARQQ. Just talked about this one too. Loving what I'm seeing here. And again, kind of the same theme across these three, right? The next group I'm about to look at, those have been running for a while. Look at where Rigotti is, right? Rigotti broke all the moving averages down here and is way up here, right? When we look at what's the next tickers, right? QBTS broke them all down here and is way up here, right? You get the point. I don't need to show it to you again. ARQQ, we're still down here. We're still just kind of barely getting the takeoff. We're still sitting with some really healthy RSI numbers right here, right? And yeah, that's a beautiful little move right here. Looks like we're seeing golden crosses, the 100 over the 200, right? Look at that green over red divergence. Volume's basically been living at or over the 50 MA. This did what we were hunting for, right? And I mean, that's a beautiful thing and puts a smile to my face, right? Next line up, we have one is 49. Oh my goodness. I'll draw one more. It looks like it's probably around there. I will adjust this one if we can get over the 49. For now, I think even that might be a little bit of an aggressive thing, but you see it, right? I mean, there is nothing but red to green coming up, right? So this looks nice on the daily. This looks nicer than the other two on the weekly. Definitely pushing a 91 RSI, right? But again, we saw the sector living in the 90s, right? And there is no moving average. This thing got over it. Doji confirmed. Big candle after, right? We hunted on the daily, we hunted on the weekly. You can hunt it on whatever you want, right? But I'm loving what I'm seeing. And one last time, if you're up 50% and you're after hours still roughly around there, I don't see that as a bad thing. You know what I mean? So the last thing, just to end this little chapter right here, right? I still need more from NASDAQ. Okay, this is a doji. A doji is not good. It's not bad. It's just interesting. I'm a little annoyed at that last dump off. I really thought we were going to hold a little better. You can literally see it. It was the single 15-minute candle. Otherwise, this candle right here was basically a little over my number. This was sitting at 20,060, give or take, right? So it was a little bit of an ugly 15 minutes. I need another candle, right? But there's let's see how tomorrow opens, right? Watch the NASDAQ, but oh my gosh, if NASDAQ can get over that 2040 number, the last thing, let me just show this. The day started, right? Today's the 26th. The day started up. No, it didn't. Get out of here. It started down here. You're lying. Nonetheless, it started and made its way up to it, right? So as long as we can at least make our way up to that 2040 number in those first couple hours, I think that'll do well for obviously these three and the next three. So I'm already at 20 minutes. That's a lot longer than I expected it to be. You know what? Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Okay. No, I'm going to stop it here. I'll stop it here and I'll make the next video on the next one. All right. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.